So today we're doing expireds, right? And I love the topic of expired listings. Who works expireds right now? So just so I can get a feel for that, raise your hand if you currently work expireds. Okay. I'm assuming, but I'm going to ask this question, who would like to learn how to work expireds? Raise your hand. I'm assuming everybody is going to raise their hand because they're here, I would imagine, right? Okay, good. All right, so first of all, let's just look at the big six. Write down, if you would, expireds, for sale by owners, geo, which would be geo calling, geo mailing, past clients, sphere of influence, open houses, online leads, and marketing. I think that's 7. So expireds, for sale by owners, geos, past clients, sphere of influence, open houses, online leads, and marketing. And here's the deal. Those are the most popular, the easiest ones to jump in. And there's probably 50 different lead sources that we could look at, right? But these are the biggest ones. And I look at business as kind of like you're the head of an octopus. And what I mean by that is more tentacles that you have, more different systems that you have that are bringing business into your company, into yourself, right? The better. If I have 8 ways that I'm getting business that's coming in, right? That's more stable than having one. And sometimes, Nazar, sometimes we have a market that we don't see expireds. Sometimes we have a market we do see expired. So we have to shift what we're working with all the time to match the market that we're in, right? One thing before we jump into expireds, and by the way, this is very open, ask questions. I think overall, as real estate agents, we overcomplicate the business way too much. You guys will always hear me say this: contacts equal contracts. So that's my theory on the business. Contacts equal contacts. Ryan, if you would have talked to twice as many people last year as what you talked to, past clients, sphere of influence, leads, etc., talked to twice as many people, would you have sold twice as many houses? And
Yeah.
of course, the answer is yes. And we overthink it way too much. We need to put ourselves into conversations. To be successful, we just need to have more conversations. The question is, who are you having conversations with? And today we're talking expireds. Make sense? So I'm going to point out a couple things, and we're going to get into 2 strategies. We're going to get into the phone call, and then we're going to get to a strategy at the door. I'm going to start at the door after these things. But first of all, write down empathy. Way too many people, Jessica, that call expireds, and they're being way too salesy. They're making it about themselves, and they learn these fancy scripts that everybody's using, and they really don't have any empathy because, quite frankly, these people had their houses on the market for a reason. It wasn't successful. It may have made a major impact to them. It's at least a disappointment, and we need to have empathy about their situation. If you have empathy, you get a long way. And look, but for most of us, we joined real estate obviously to make money, but we're also trying to help clients, right? So we need to be empathetic to their situation. If they believe that we have empathy for them and they believe that we can help them, they'll go forward with us. And most people that call expireds are not coming from a place of empathy. Question base, just general sales 101. Questions is what we are paid to ask questions. When we ask questions, we gather information. Whoever's asking questions controls the subject, right? And it builds rapport. Emily, if I'm asking you questions, you're an expired listing, I'm asking questions. So where'd you plan on moving? And, that must be pretty tough that you weren't able to do that. Is that still something you're interested in doing? I'm building rapport by having these questions, right? And people want to work with you if they like you, right? Without a question. We need to gather information. Need to have natural conversations. Write down, have natural conversations. Yes, we know the things we're going to say, but we don't need to say it in a salesy way. We just need to have conversations with people. If we're relaxed on that phone call, they're going to be relaxed on the phone call, right? So there's a great book, by the way, if you guys do not practice, it's called Exactly What to Say by Phil Jones. I read it every day. I've picked this a couple books I go through and I flip through every single day. Exactly What to Say. Learn how to use persuasive language. So important. Even expireds, no matter what you're doing, persuasive language is really important. Find their why. Nazar, the only way we're going to set an appointment is if we know why they're trying to sell their house. And we can understand what their why is. That is the most important thing for you guys to get to, is the why. By the way, when we find the why, we actually develop the empathy, don't we? Because we understand what they were trying to accomplish that they're no longer able to accomplish. And really important, when you're talking to people, learn how to dance. Anybody ever been to a dance lesson? I have. Please tell me I'm not the only one that's ever taken a dance lesson. Okay, I'm the only one that's going to admit it. You can't always be dipping, right? So a dance lesson has moves in between, right? So when we're trying to close and we have a line, Jessica, that we're using in our vocabulary when we're talking to somebody, we need to learn how to back away and have a conversation, then go back in with an angle. Does anybody play chess? Okay, we don't. Nobody knows how to dance, and no. Okay, we got some chess. Tessa, take yourself off mute for a second. Are you pretty good at chess?
No, absolutely
Okay.
not. I'm better at
Okay.
dance, though.
You're better at dance. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Uh, so in chess, do you know anybody that's good at chess?
Yeah, my brother-in-law
Your
and my
brother, right on.
husband. Yeah.
And your husband. Okay, so your
Yeah.
husband and brother-in-law, when they're thinking about their move, are they thinking about the move they're doing right now, or are they thinking about what?
The move they're going to be doing next.
Yeah, and really professional chess players, they actually know 7 moves ahead, which
Wow.
is unbelievable. That's the real professionals are 7. Guys, selling is playing
Mm.
chess. We know that if we say this, they're going to say this or that. When they say that, we're going to say this, and it's called question trees. If you've ever been to a Phil Jones seminar, you spend 3 days working on question trees. So when we start to learn the right language, we know when we say this, they're either going to say that or this, and then we're going to say this. That comes with practice. Does practice make perfect? You guys probably said this to you before. Tessa, do you know the game of golf?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
A little
So
bit.
I golf about a 72, right? And that might sound impressive until you realize that's for 9. So I'm really, really bad at golfing, right? And that's picking the ball up at 10. Okay. If I went and practiced every day at golf, I wouldn't get any better because I'd be just practicing my bad swings, right? So I have to have somebody to help me. So practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. You need to be working with somebody when you're doing that can say, hey, change the words, do this, do that instead. Okay. So
Mm.
let's move from the phone call first because everybody knows that we call expireds, right? But when you're who is anybody on here calling expireds? Okay. When you call expireds, guys, Jessica, please, thank you. Jessica, when you're calling expireds, what percentage of the time do you think you'll get a hold of? If you have 100 expireds, if you call diligently, how many are going to get a hold of?
15, 20.
About 15, 20. That's about 15 to 20%. Exactly. So you guys, there's a gold mine in the 85% or the 80%. So Emily, the 15 to 20, they get hounded by agents. Everybody call them, they're answering, they get upset. But the other 80% guys, they're not talking to anybody. And we know that about, depending on your market and stuff, it's about 80% of these expireds are going to relist with somebody. They're going to sell with a real estate agent. Their motivation hasn't changed. So if that's the case, there's a lot of opportunity at the door. So I'm going to give you a really simple strategy. Jessica, if you would, I'm just going to work these numbers with you, please. So on Monday, Jessica,
Yep.
is it Jess or Jessica?
Jess is good.
Jess, my daughter's Jess, so I just naturally called you Jess. On Monday, you're going to pick your 5 favorite expireds. The 5s in the same area. You're going to make sure they're not Airbnb. You're going to make sure that they're owner occupied. They're not in a gated community, things that you can go up and talk to, right? And what I'm going to have you do is on Monday morning, I'm going to have you door knock 5 expireds, right? Trying to get a hold of people. And then Jess, in the afternoon on Tuesday, you're going to door knock the same 5. Unless you got a hold of one of them, then you're going to door knock 4, right? And then on Wednesday evening, you're going to door knock the 5. So we knocked it at 3 different times: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. See this? Thursday, you're going to pick another 5. You're going to door knock it Thursday morning. Then you're going to door knock it Friday afternoon and Saturday anytime because it's Saturday, right? So we've door knocked 10 expireds. That's a lot of effort to door knock 10 people. But we door knock 10 people 3 times a day, different times. What percentage, how many people do you think you'll get a hold of if you did that 3 different times a day?
7.
It's 7's the answer, right? That's about average on it, right? Now, if you did that, guys, you did that for a whole month, that means you'd have 28 conversations face to face. You guys are going to have 28 conversations face to face with expireds that want to sell their house that have not been inundated by everybody calling. You're probably the only one showing up at the door. And are you better, Jessica, in person or over the phone?
In person, definitely.
And most of us are, right? Most of us are in person. You can have a conversation, you can build rapport better. So let me just ask you, Jessica, if you were able to talk to 28 people that still want to sell their house, what percentage of the time do you think you could convince them, hey, it couldn't hurt us to getting together, the strategy session. I could stop back out tomorrow. You going to be around? What percentage?
80.
80%. So take your calculator, take 28 times 0.8.
It's 22.4.
So you're going to have 22 listing appointments from this technique. Now, is that a good month?
It's a pretty good month.
That's a really good month. Okay. And typically, what is your closing ratio when you're sitting down talking to them? And you don't have much competition because they're getting all this mail sent to them, but no one else has done what you've done. What percentage of the time do you think you'd close?
90.
90. Okay. And it may be possibly less because sometimes you have pricing objections with these. So I'm just going to move you to 80 on it. So take
Okay.
22 times 0.8, and that's how many listings you would take from this plan, right?
Rounding up, it's 18.
18. What percentage of your listings are selling?
It used to be 80%. Right now, I'm sitting right around 50%.
Okay, 50% being guys, and that means there's expireds in your marketplace because that's the market that we're going to have expireds, right? When 100% sell, we don't have any expireds. So how many listing appointments? You had to 18. So let's just take 50% of them. You have 9 sales. 9 times 12 is what?
9 times 12 is one. What's 108?
108. Would that be decent? And an extra 100 sales to you? All right. Now, guys, that sounded kind of interesting, easy, but I would like to ask you, tell me, guys, why those numbers wouldn't work. Anybody, please, just jump in. Tessa, since I've already talked to you, Tessa, what do you think of those numbers? I mean, would it be realistic that you could get a hold of 7 out of 10 people if you're door knocking 3 times a day?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Would it be realistic thinking that you could convince them to meet with you 80% of the time when you're at the door, since you're the only one at the door, right?
Yeah,
Okay. And you could list probably 80% of those, right?
I would assume. Yeah.
Yep. And in Jessica's market, it's 50%. You might be a little bit higher. So, but nevertheless, even if only 50% of your listings sold, that's 100 sales, guys. Jessica, what's your average commission?
15,000.
So that's 1.5 million, $1.6 million extra income from you by implementing the Inspired Door Knocking campaign.
If I
Pretty
could,
cool.
if I
Nazar?
could interject some, this isn't going to be negative. It's going to sound negative, but it's not.
Okay.
So typically from back in the day, these are like Mike Ferry days.
Yeah.
A third of the people that expire just
Yeah.
change their plans. They choose to stay and don't move forward.
Yep.
A third will relist with the same exact agent, no matter what you say or what you do.
Okay.
And then a third will hire another agent because it's the agent's fault. And so they think another agent's going to do a better job. And so out of, you can look at your own different marketplaces to see how many expires there are. Just know that a third is going to not list and their plans have changed. A third is going to relist no matter what you do. A third is what you have the opportunity to be able to truly make an impact and list their houses.
Yeah. So let's just take for a second, Nazar. Let's just take it and Jessica's number. Let's just take that we're 50% off. That would mean she would have an additional 54 sales and make an extra 750,000. So even if this is off by 50%, it's still a good year, isn't it, Jessica? Right? I had somebody, one of my clients, Nazar, actually, because they were saying that these people are not relisting and there's not that many expired. So I said, okay, let's track them. So they took their city and they literally went back they went back 2 months and then they went back 3 months before that. So they took a period of time and they found that over 70% of them listed. I didn't ask them to have who they listed with, right? But if you're good enough at the door and you get out there within the first hour or so after that thing, or the first day or so, often you can convince the person, why would you go back with the same agent that didn't work out? You know, maybe most people at this point would probably try a different strategy, right? That makes sense, doesn't it? You know, you have that opportunity to overcome that objection at the door. So,
So
but
yeah,
either way you cut it, it's still a good system. Yep.
100%. Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's like, especially in a market where what's interesting is that I think most agents have not been around a dip before.
That's true.
And so because they're just not used to it, and the old school pound the pavement phone people are gone, or there's less of them. And so I think this could be a wonderful opportunity for agents that want to develop some thick skin, because you're going to get a lot of yelling on the phone. It's not a fun conversation. You have to really be good at what you're saying, and improve your skill set. But those that come out of being a really good expired listing taker, they're one of the best agents at negotiating, at just overall selling that you've ever met. Like the perfect example would be Tom Toole. If you know him or have heard of
Yeah.
him,
Yep. Mhm.
like Tom Toole is the expired king, and he could literally just blow everyone out of the water. The reason is because he literally does it every single day.
Yep. Expireds, you know, that list that we talked about, Nazar, the expireds for sale by owners, Geo, Pascal, that when I started off with, expireds is the most challenging on that list,
Mhm.
without a question, if you're going to get on the phones. If you're going to door knock, it's no longer challenging. It's you and having just simple conversation. But I would definitely suggest y'all to try the phones too through this, right? You just understand you have to up your game. You have got to become very good on the phone to set expired listings. And most people that jump into it jump back out after 2 weeks. They're like, I can't do this. It's too much, right? But when you learn the beautiful thing, guys, you have all these people that go on, I don't know why they do it, but they go on YouTube and they record their calls and they show everybody how to set appointments. So you can, then there's like hundreds of people on YouTube. So you literally can go on YouTube and listen to people how they overcome the objections to get good at it. We didn't have that back in the day, so it's kind of cool. Any questions about the door knocking strategy around expireds?
David, I have a question.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yeah, so like right now, I'm experiencing even sellers of my own right now that have crazy expectations as far as the price, and I have talked to quite a few expireds, especially in my farm, where it's like they, no matter what data you show them, they are higher than a kite and think we're still in 2022.
Yep.
So their pricing were just not there. And like, I'm like, how do I overcome these objections from them as far as price? Or do I just not work with them? Because, there has been a few clients where I have, worked with where the pricing was too high and they just have really crazy expectations and they can really start to like suck the life out of you.
Yeah. So Tessa, if we have some time, we won't have this one, but maybe one of the calls I can do, I can show you what I like using as a pricing presentation. But I think one of the problems we have as real estate community is that we prevent, let me ask you this. Do you think that most sellers understand a CMA?
Probably not.
Do
No.
you think most realtors understand a CMA? Probably
Definitely
not.
not. No.
And
No.
when you present something that somebody doesn't understand, especially if it's something they're emotionally or financially attached to, what they do is they have a tendency of pausing, or they believe somebody else that's going to tell them a different story. So we have to learn how to present price in a way that not only they understand, but they come up with a conclusion of price themselves. You just guided them through the process. So when
Definitely.
we
Yeah.
when we improve our pricing presentation, a lot of times it overcomes it. But the other side to it, if somebody is unwilling to price their house correctly, it's usually a lack of motivation. So we
Sure.
always talk about
Yeah.
the 7 Ds, or these are the, and we've done this before, but these are the people that will price your house correctly. Write these down if you would. Death. They
Right.
just inherited the house. I'm going to gotta sell it, right? Diapers. We just had triplets and we have a 1 bedroom house. Okay. Diplomas. Okay. Defaults. So we got so far death, diapers, diplomas, defaults, diamonds. Usually with diamonds, often you get 3 listings. Or you get 1 sale and 2 listings because nobody wants to live in their spouse's ex-house, right? Divorce. And because I created this list around D's, I put relocation as D relocation and D retirement. But these are the people, and if you think of everybody, if the market's tough, you think of everybody that used you in the last 12 months, did they not fall in one of these categories?
Yeah, most of them, for sure.
Yeah. So, and that's motivation. So sometimes we can't create motivation. If I'm the type of person that says, if it sells, it's great. But if it doesn't, I'm okay.
Yeah.
That person you're going to bypass. You're not going to want to have a listing appointment with.
Definitely. No, there's been a few appointments that I've gone on, and one in particular, my farm, and I sniffed it out pretty quick because they really didn't have a lot of motivation, and then they wanted 150,000 over
Yeah.
what the last comp sold for, and I don't do a CMA. I do it like the Nazar style, where I just bring my laptop, I pull up the MLS, and I show them exact data. The last
Yep.
comp that just sold, I don't even show them active ones, but I will if I really need to get my point across. If I'm trying to get them to price it lower, of course, to sell
Yeah.
faster. But yeah, anyways, this guy in particular, he didn't want to accept the price I was giving him. He listed with another agent, only had it on the market for 2 weeks, and then pulled it because, of course, he didn't get one showing.
Sure. Yeah. And when you take a listing on that's overpriced and it doesn't sell, all you're doing is telling all the neighbors that you don't know how to sell a house.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. So our job is to find motivated people. So instead of going out to a listing appointment with an unmotivated individual, I'd rather spend my time trying to find a motivated person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Make sense?
Definitely. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. All right. So I'm going to give you some language for that phone call. We won't have time to go through a lot of the phone calls, but when I start a conversation, guys, on the phone, Nazar, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. My name is Dave Thompson. I'm a real estate agent. Just wonder if I could ask you a really quick question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I noticed that your house isn't listed, not for sale anymore, and I'm just curious if you still had an interest in selling your house.
We do.
Yeah. So I assume you're taking the opportunity right now to interview some of the top producing agents, aren't you?
Yeah, we're going to see either we're going to relist with our same agent or find someone else.
Yeah, great. So what would be a good time for me to stop out there? Would there be mornings, afternoons, or evenings, tomorrow, the next day? What's best for you?
Well, we decided that we would interview some of the agents that actually showed our house. Did you show our listing when it was listed?
So I want to take the first part of that conversation. I'll jump into that in a second, but take that first part of the conversation. That's how I start the conversation. Tessa, I'm going to go for a close right off the bat, but I'm also going to ask for permission to ask a really quick question. Because if I say really quick question, I usually get a yes. A lot of people just grow through and it's kind of like they're railroading the person. They ride right over the top of them. They don't even allow the person time to breathe. I like calling and just say, hey, my name is Dave Thompson. I'm a real estate agent. Wonder if I could ask you a really quick question. He said yes, right? I said, great. I noticed that your house is no longer on the market. Just wonder if you had an interest in selling. He said, yes. Here's what I said. I assume you're taking the opportunity to interview some of the top producing agents, aren't you? And he said, yes. When I set the appointment, what is the assumption that I am? The assumption is now I'm a top producing agent by my language, right? That's the beginning of every expired calls. If I get an objection, I smile because objection tells me there's an interest. If that was a no, I have to work a little harder. Now I only have to do overcome the objection. I'm going to give you some points here for the conversation, some verbiage that you guys can use. So write these down. I'm looking at your listing, and I believe I know exactly why your house didn't sell. Would you like to know why? I'm looking at your listing. I believe I know your house, why it didn't sell. Would you like to know why? Of course, they're going to say why, and then you try to set an appointment. The next one. We already just did this one. I'm assuming you're taking the opportunity to interview some of the top producing agents, aren't you? Aren't you's the tie down, right? Jessica, I was curious if you have any ideas why your house didn't sell. That's a great question to ask. Because Jessica's going to answer it. She potentially could say, I have no idea. Right? Part of my conversation, guys, is to have a dance. I mentioned have a dance. I would then dance on that subject. Well, let me ask you, if your house did sell, where were you planning on moving to? She'd say, I was planning on moving to Nebraska. How exciting. I'm going the cold script, right? Why Nebraska? Well, because my kids live there. Oh, you want to be next to your kids. That's really awesome. How often do you get to see them? And I'm having this rapport building conversation. Well, you mentioned to me that you didn't have any ideas why the house didn't sell. It sounds to me like at some point, Jessica, you are going to make that move to Nebraska, aren't you? And she says, yes. Well, it sounds like we really need to figure out what the problem is, either for now or in the future. There's a reason why a house didn't sell. Tell you what, I'm really good at figuring that out. Couldn't hurt for me to stop out, spend 15, 20 minutes with you, could it? And I set the appointment. Okay. And that's using the dance, right? Next one. How many showings did you get? Tessa, how many showings did you get on your house? Well, she tells me I had 6 showings. Any offers? And no offers. Oh, wonder why that is. Do you have any ideas why you didn't have any offers on your house? No, I don't. See the opportunity to set the appointment, right? If they say I have no interest in selling my house, this is one I love. So Tessa, let me ask you, mind if I ask you a hypothetical question? And she would say, go ahead and say.
Of course, I love hypothetical questions.
Yeah, so I noticed that you had the house on the market for $750, and this is just hypothetical speaking, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say I had a buyer, and they were willing to pay cash for your house for $750,000. Would you want to take a look at that offer?
Yeah, I would be open to it.
So what you're telling me is this: you still have an interest in selling your house. You just don't want to put it back on the market with an agent that can't get it sold. That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This is what most people do at this point is they plan a strategy session where we can get together and kind of figure out what went wrong, see if there's an opportunity. It couldn't hurt, could it? No. Great.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's a good time for you to stop out? I love the hypothetical question. And notice how I asked that question, guys. I said, would you want to take a look at that offer? I didn't say, would you want to accept it? Because I'm looking for yes. Would you want to take a look at offer? And then I used NLP, which, by the way, is in the book, exactly what to say. I used some NLP in there and say, so this is, so it sounds to me like this is what you're telling me. Because when I say that, she believes this is what I'm telling her, right? That you really want to get your house sold. So that one really works when they say, I have no interest, because it's really hard. You can't call them out on it, but I just repositioned that conversation. See how I did that? Okay. Let me ask you, if you were the agent, Tessa, what would you have done differently to get your house sold? That is a beautiful one to ask. What would you have done differently to get your house sold? Well, I would have done 5 open houses every single month. Now you got to think, do I want to do 5 open houses? But, I totally agree with you. So I assume you're going to be looking for an agent now that actually does 5 open houses every month. Well, yes, I would be. Well, I'm so glad I gave you a call. What's a good time for me to stop out? Now, in between all these phrases that I just gave you guys, you have to dance. You can't go from one to one to one to one to one. You have to create a conversation in between. And that dance is what carries on the conversation. Sometimes on an expired call, you're going to go 15 minutes to get the appointment set. And you're going to probably try to close 5, 6, 7, 8 different times. But guys, not in a salesy way, in a customer service way with empathy and building rapport with the client. Everybody else does it salesy, doesn't work. Make sense?
Yeah.
So hopefully this was some good information for you guys. Next time, I think we did expireds. We did for sale by owners. We're probably going to get into, actually, I'd like to, next time, Nazar and Emily, I can get into marketing if you'd like. That would be a good one. So, all right. Good seeing you guys.
Thank you. Hey,
Right.
guys, if you want to stay on just for a second, I have
so much,
a
David.
thought about this. My thought is I'm currently trying to sell my house, and it's been like 4 months, 3 months, whatever, and it still hasn't sold. And I have so much empathy for people that don't have their homes sold. And I also have a lot of empathy for people that move. Like, when's the last time you've moved? Moving sucks. And so, like, people only actually have to move when they do want to move for the most part. Like, obviously I know if you guys are in second market or second home markets, it's a little bit different, but the most part, it's hard. There's a lot of emotion. Like imagine if you were like, okay, I'm going to sell my house. I'm going to go through the pain of selling and moving because of, whatever one of those life events that took place. And then your home doesn't sell. And you're like, what is it? Like, do I have to keep on lowering my price? Is something wrong with my home? Like you start questioning everything. And so if you choose to make those calls, if you choose to call on expired listings, then I invite you to really think about how much pain that person must be experiencing, the stress that they must be experiencing of not having the home sold. It can be devastating. And so lots of agents are going to come and try to win that listing, right? Lots of agents are going to, try to say, "Oh, I know why your home didn't sell. I know why your home didn't sell," but they're not going to come from a place of empathy. So I think that David really hit the nail on the head. If you do decide that you want to do that, then coming from a place of empathy is really like what is critical in this market. And I think it's also good to be brutally honest and say, "Hey, listen, like right now, you're not going to get that price. And so what's plan B? If your home doesn't sell, then what is your plan B?" And if their plan B is that they just stay put, saying, "Okay, great. Are you okay if I follow up with you and check back to see if your plans change again?" Or you can say, "Hey, listen, tell me why it's important for you to sell it at this price." They have to say, "Well, I need to sell it for $800,000 because I need a net $400,000 from the sale of this house so I can make the move." And says, "Okay, cool. So what if for whatever reason your home sold for 700,000 and you only walked away with 300,000? What would happen then?" "Well, then I wouldn't have enough money to be able to make that purchase." "Well, what if the home that you want to buy for $800,000 in the next city over or wherever they want to move, what if you can get that home for $100,000 less? Would you make the move then?" Well, and if the answer is yes, then say, "Great. Then why don't we list your home conditionally upon us helping you find a very aggressive realtor on the other side that's going to be able to get you an amazing deal on a home so you can be close to your grandkids, or you can be whatever the reason is that they're looking to make a move. And even though you're going to take a little bit of a hit here, you're going to make it up on the next purchase. Will that work for you?" Because they might not think that way. They might not think, "Oh, well, I'm gonna take a hit here, but I'll make it up on the purchase." Right?
Isn't that always the case in a sense when you're listing and selling the home? Is either you're gonna lose out on one end and, you know, um like make that back on the second transaction.
There's always a sacrifice,
Yeah.
and it's hard, right? It's a hard conversation to have because, like, in my head, I'm like, "Well, I've done this and I've done this and I've done this to the home. Like, I deserve X," and I don't deserve anything. No one deserves anything. I mean, I do believe in some ways where it's not just the price, because I feel like if I kept on lowering my price of my home, that's not
Mhm.
necessarily what is going to cause it to sell. There's just not enough demand for a home like mine at this moment in time. Right. And I'm not that motivated, because if I was, then yeah, if I did a fire sale, of course someone would come along and buy it. And so my goal is to be able to make sure that when you're talking to a prospective seller, and what's cool about expireds is they've already raised their hand saying they want to sell. Right. And so again, there's going to be a third that's going to say, "You know what, never mind. I'm not going to sell it." And then a third is going to say, "I don't care. I don't like, I'm telling you, it's going to be where they're going to relist no matter what. Because it's a cousin, aunt, uncle, sister, whatever. They have a good relationship with that person. They're going to relist with them." But then the other third, or I guess you could say 50% of them, because the one third is just not even on the market anymore. They're not interested in selling. But 50% of those that are interested in selling are going to list with another agent. And if you feel like you can bring more value to the table, then go talk to them. And here's a couple things you can do. You can say, "Hey, I will bring you a cash offer. Have you received any offers?" A lot of these people haven't even seen one offer on the table, or if they that haven't seen any offers, and they might not even be getting lots of showings or no showings at all. And so if you can say, hey, I have investors that will give you a cash offer. And Jessica, I've told you this, you've never taken me up on it, but like, you never know, right? Someone might say, you know what? I don't give a shiz. I'm done here. Like, yes, give me the cash offer. And they might even take the cash offer. And if they don't, then it's at least one option that you've presented to them gets you in the door. They might not like the offer, but it's at least an opportunity, an option that you've presented that no one else has presented to them. And then if they don't want the cash offer, say, cool, listen, I'm here to give you all of your options and choices. And if at the end of the day, you want to stay here and you want to turn this home into a rental, I will help you find a renter for your home. Now, when you guys, obviously today was expireds, what thoughts come to mind when you think about expired listings? By the raise of hand, who's actually called or knocked on the door of an expired listing ever before? Yeah, just like 4 of us. So this is new for lots of you. And it could be scary. Maybe you don't know what you don't know, and that's fine. Like, again, you're always going to have a better time in front of them than you are on the phone. Cases like you, Lovely and Jess, like you're going to have to make that call because they don't live there. But that's okay, right? You can do Zoom calls. You can say, hey, when's the last time you've been to your unit? And if it's been a minute, then I'm happy to go there and do a FaceTime video with you so you can see what the house looks like currently. And maybe if it's been relisted before, then they might have already seen the photos, so maybe that's not as valuable. But you have to think of like something valuable to give to them or offer them. Nevertheless, like I think it's important to be able to say, hey, just so you know, that a lot of times homes that expire, the agent hounds them on price. Did your last agent tell you that it was the price that was the reason why your home didn't sell? And if they say yes, say, yeah, a lot of agents do that. They don't have enough value to bring to the table. All they say is you got to lower the price. But did you know that most of the time, it's not the price that causes the home to sell? It's the positioning of the home. It's the overall offer of the property. And they're like, well, what is that? So I'm glad you asked. Would it be worth 15 minutes of your time if I stopped by this afternoon and shared with you the several reasons why I believe your home didn't sell and price isn't the number one reason? I'd be curious. In fact, I would love for someone to call me and tell me, hey, this is why I feel like your home hasn't sold.
Hey, Nazar, I have a question for you. Have just asked a question. Is that what you want to say?
Yes.
No, you like a book. Are you doing showcase on your St. George house?
I would love to do showcase on my show.
Oh, okay. Well, let's sit down and talk a little bit later. I'd love to go over what my listing presentation and my marketing and all of that.
For whatever reason, I can't get showcase listing on my house for whatever. I don't know. I don't know why it is. But anyway.
It's made such a difference for a lot of my
Yeah.
stupid listings that have just been sitting forever. The minute we did showcase, I don't know what it was, but I had all these showings come in. So
Yes. All right. I will revisit with Kate and find out what I need to do to get my dang house to be showcased. Thank you. I appreciate that push.
Is that on Zillow? What's Showcase?
Zillow Showcase, yeah. It's like a new product they rolled out. I mean, I did Showcase like a year and a half, 2 years ago when they first introduced the program, but it sucked back then. It wasn't, I ended up just dropping it. And then I don't know, they did something, Christina was telling me, where they revamped their algorithms. And so when we, redid it this last time, it ended up being 10 times better than it was when I initially had it.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
love that you're doing that to your face right now. I have one of those.
Oh, an ice roller. I have headaches. I'm like,
Oh, I thought it was a little prickly thing.
no. But
Okay.
yeah, Showcase has been amazing, and it is extra. You have to pay for it, but if I can get more showings on my listings and potentially, some offers, I'll do it all day long.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me and Tyre kind of dived into that yesterday because we have the list tracks, and we actually opened up the email and everything to look at the difference. His home has like 2,000 views, with everyone else in the area is like 500.
Wow. That's loco. That's bananas. Okay. Very good. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Jessica and Lovely, stay on the call if you can. I'll take this opportunity to be able to dive a little bit deeper with you. I mean, you guys can
Lovely's like, oh, great.
you guys can those that want to see me coach her right now, you can stay on too. I'm sure she's
Oh,
loving
God.
it. Good to see you on here, Deanna. Hope you're doing well. Okay. All right, guys. What have you implemented from the things that we've talked about from the summit of making offers to now, the things that we talked about over this last weekend? Like, how can I support you as your main broker to not just survive this year, but thrive in 2026?
I love that you're taking extra time to do this, so thank you. I think, and again, I have limiting beliefs. I think I'm having a really, really hard time making a cash flow work, even at, $200,000 off, whatever it is. Who I'm talking to right now, like who we're showing properties with, the cash flows don't work and they're okay with that. For you, I would want the cash flow to work.
Listen, Jessica, I'm not saying I'd be buying the property to hold on to it long term.
I know.
So if a home was listed for $1 million and we came in and made an offer for $750
Yep.
and they accepted that offer, could we turn around and relist that home for $825 and sell it quickly? That would be the thing I would want to know as well.
Okay.
Right? So like in the REO days, like people would just on Autobot just make offers. Like I would have investors where sight unseen, they didn't even give a shiz about the home. They were just saying, okay, if the home is listed for this, we're making an offer at 60%.
Yeah.
And like I know it's some work, right? And if you need to get a VA involved to do it, or like what else are you doing, right?
No,
Instead of doom
I think
scrolling on social media, like get on the MLS and just start making offers on property, like especially if they're like in the sweet spot area that is like, oh, this is a no-brainer, good investment. Then let's just make offers. Like, what's the worst case scenario? You get a approval letter, and just an offer, and just submit these offers. And if like either they're going to ignore your offer, going to come back and counter some stupid number that you're like, no, thank you, or be like, you know what? I can't believe it, but my seller said yes.
this is like perfect timing because we just hired a property manager for our vacation rental side. And so Lovely, even on our coaching call today, Lovely was like, a weight is lifted. I've got time that is opened up. And she just messaged me as you're talking. I would love to work on this.
Yeah. Again, so you've got the expireds, and you can knock with those two birds with one stone. You can talk to the expired and say, hey, we have a cash investor that's willing to make an offer for you.
Yeah.
And then we could also talk to you about what it would be like to list your home in this market and sell it to the open public. The average days on market in our area is 180 days, or whatever the average days on market is.
Average days on the market is 2 years. No, I'm just kidding.
You got inventory of 18 months, but that's
No,
not the average days on market.
I know.
Right?
I'm just kidding.
And I don't know what that number is because I'm not on your MLS right now. But like, you should know what the average days on market is.
It is. It's like it almost is 180. It's like it fluctuates between like 182 and 176 the past couple months.
And then that number is going to fluctuate predicated upon it being a townhome or being a single family home, right? So you should know when you're talking to a single family home or a condo townhome and say the average days on market for a home like this is X. We can get you a cash offer, or we can get you an offer on your property from an investor that can close in 30 days. And this is what that offer would be. And if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, then option B is to relist it and do irresistible offers. an irresistible offer in your neck of the woods could be, we're going to pay for 1 year of your HOA. We're going to pay 2 years of your HOA. How much would it be where it does pencil out? So let's take, for example, I know it's stupid, but like, especially in the higher price points, if you have a home for 1.5 million, that's just not moving. And if you say, listen, we're going to keep the price at 1.5, but we're going to do a $200,000 buy down. Let's get an example. Typically, when you're buying a second home, you're putting at least 25% down.
Right.
Okay, so that's $375,000. You're getting a loan you're getting a loan for 1.25 million or 1.125. And let's say it costs you so 11,000, and then we're going to say it costs you 5 points. Say $100,000. You call your lender and you say, hey, listen, at a home for 1.5 million, putting 25% down, loan amount of 1.125 million, what's the current interest rate? 6.125? Perfect. What would it be how much would it cost to get that 6.125 down for 5 years, a 5-1 arm, and get it down to 4%? You're going to find out what that's going to cost. Or a 7-1 arm, right? If people get scared of 5 years, that's too little a commitment. Do a 7-1 arm. You know what that is, right? A 7-1 arm.
Right.
So if it's fixed for 7 years, and that rate would be maybe even lower because it's not a 30-year fixed. But say, okay, well, what can we get that 7-1 arm down to? Or maybe a 5-1 arm. Like you get all these scenarios. And so if
Okay.
you can get it, if it's going to cost you $60,000 to get that interest rate from 6.125 down to 4%, and then you should know what that number is, right? Like if
Right.
you're getting a calculator and you're going to do your mortgage payment, what would that monthly payment be? And then what would that $1.5 million average rent for? Can you make it cash flow then? This is the outside the box thinking that you need to be able to help your sellers sell their home and to create demand for buyers that otherwise wouldn't have. There's agents in my marketplace here in Utah where the first photo I don't know if you can see this or not. You can't. Like,
4% rate.
let's say this is the house, right? Right above it, in this big old banner, it says 4% interest rate. And then maybe down below it says first year of HOA fees covered, or the first 2 years of no HOA fees for the first 2 years. It could be a combination of these two wild offers. It could be just one or the other, but you could have these wild offers that no one else has. How many
Right.
listings do you currently have?
8.
So you got 8 opportunities to try it out there with them.
Yep.
Which one of those 8 needs price adjustments? Probably all of them.
6 of them.
So go
Another
back to
Yeah, another thing that was different that we just saw too was guaranteed income for the first 2 years.
by whom?
Guaranteed rental income from the seller, holding it in escrow for the first 2 years.
Oh, yeah, that's another cool wild offer. Like there's a million ways to showcase, just like how we talked about, the wild offer that we're making.
Right.
Join 5. You got to come up with wild offers for the sellers that you have. And then you got to create those wild opportunities for your buyers that you guys have.
Right.
And then by creating more inventory, you're gonna be able to do that by calling those expired listings and saying, hey, listen, I have been able to do this, or this is a way in which your home is going to sell, and it's not reducing the price.
Right.
If I can get your home sold without reducing the price, and I can sell it within the next 60 days when the average days on market is 190, are you open to having that discussion?
Right. Love it. Well, let's say, because we have not acted on this, Lovely, and you just said that you would love to do this. Let's like, how many can we contact by the master call next week?
Well, how many expired listings are there in your area?
Let me look at that, but not even that, but how many like can we look at
Oh,
for
offers.
Yeah.
Making an
but
offer?
yes,
Yeah.
expired too. Expired as well.
No. Yeah. Like the offers, again, like I think instead of just randomly making offers on just random things, like pick those areas, neighborhoods that you're like, this is like just an a missed opportunity. It's the gold nugget that no one sees, or whatever that's called. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so like find the area that's undervalued, I guess is the best way to say it, or the best opportunities in the rental game. And so say this condo community is awesome because it has low HOA, it has close, blah, 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 whatever the reasons are. And then like target that condo complex or ones like it. How many
And what's
active,
there? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
how many active listings are there in that area that you guys cover?
We just talked about that. Didn't we say? We just talked about it. What was
I'm
that?
sorry.
30,
What?
30, didn't we say like 33 homes? Or was that not it?
That can't be it.
No.
Anyway, so like knowing all the
That was
homes.
pendings. That was pendings.
Yeah. And we're talking about active listings.
Yeah.
So all the active listings you guys have, you break them down to those areas. You break down to like the areas that you're like, these are the sweet spots or the sweet spot price range, and then start making just some aggressive offers, you know. If it takes you, let's say, if you get kind of on a routine, you've got two computer screens open or monitors or whatever, and you're just like, you have the MLS listing here, you've got the offer here, you plug it in. How many pages is your offers in Destin? 13 pages? Okay. So again, a lot of it's just boilerplate BS stuff anyway, right? And the main thing is, do a 30-day close, 25% down, due diligence, your basic due diligence periods, whatever, and then just come in really aggressive on the offer. Like you got to make the offer good enough to where you can turn around and reassign that offer to somebody else, and it's like a no-brainer. Absolutely would buy this in a heartbeat.
And whose name do we put on the offer?
You can put mine.
Just not an LLC, just your name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then
what about signing off on the offer?
Send it to me, I'll sign it.
Was there certain criteria that you guys talked about in the beginning as far as the price range and like days on market or anything like that?
Well, we'll look at the days on market, Lovely. I think Nazar said he is good to go up until about 10 million. Wasn't that right?
No, not 10 million. However, you guys, we're talking about not even like buying. It could be an assignment. Have you guys ever done that before?
I've never done an assignment. I check the box every time, but I've never done it. Unless
Okay,
we're
cool.
assigning an individual to an LLC.
Yep. So an assignment could be like if you say, hey guys, I have this home that's normally $1 million. Normally it'd sell for $1 million. It would comp out at $1 million. I have it under contract and I have permission to sell it for 750 or excuse me, 760. And you're under contract at 750. So you make like 10 grand by just passing the baton.
And do you have people that would take that assignment?
I do, and you're going to as well. Like
Okay.
the deal has to be good enough to where like you can be like, it's a no freaking brainer.
Okay.
You're gonna call I'm sure you've got a list of investors that have other property.
Yeah.
Like if you buy a home, like let's be honest, if you buy $1 million house for $700,000, let's say, is someone being like, oh my gosh, it's a freaking great deal?
Yeah.
Like it has to be a stupid great deal for the buyer.
Yeah.
And it has to be where the seller's like, I paid cash for this back in the day. I'm just done.
Right.
Right. We're talking about literally 1% that are going to take your offer. It's a very small number. But if you can do this and create opportunities, right? Because there's going to be 1% that just accepts the cash offer. There's gonna be another probably like 2 or 3% where they're like, you know what? I don't want to accept that offer because that's way too low. But I'm going to list with you because you've actually been aggressive and you've stepped up here.
Right. Yeah. That's exciting, Lovely. I think that's exciting.
We literally talked about this in August.
I know.
Just saying. Okay.
I know.
Alrighty. Well,
Okay.
thanks for staying on.
We'll have an update for you by next masterclass.
Real quick, I just wanted to say something, and I can wait till the recruiting thing, but I do want to talk to Nazar about Missouri and that kind of thing at some point about recruiting for five.
Missouri?
Yeah, I was in Branson for 32 years before I moved back to Florida. So I know lots and lots and lots of people there. I mean, some of the real estate agents there that actually have their own brokerage worked for me at different places. And so, but I haven't talked to them, any of them in like 5 years. And I know that we do not have Missouri yet. So I'm just trying to figure out how to reach out since I haven't talked to them in so long, how to start a conversation, because I'd love to be able to get someone there on board. There's a couple of people I have in mind already. I'm just not sure how to, especially when I haven't talked to them in so long, how to start a conversation.
It's as easy as calling them and saying, hey, how's it going? It's lovely. I know you probably haven't heard my voice in forever. Just wanted to touch base with you, see how things are going. Right. The first call shouldn't be you asking them anything. The first call shouldn't be, hey, have you want to learn about an opportunity? Just open that door. Mm-hmm. And then once you open that door, be like, you know what? It was so good to talk with you. Like, you okay if I touch base with you and then like sooner than 5 years? Cool. And then so when you call them like in 2 weeks, when you put on your calendar to call them again, be like, hey, it was so great to talk to you a couple weeks ago. Hey, listen, I wanted to tell you about something that I've done. And maybe it might come up in conversation in the very beginning because they might ask, if they're genuinely good people, they'll reciprocate. If you ask them about them, they'll ask about you, and you can tell them. But don't ask anything. Don't say, oh, I want to share with you what I'm doing. Just say what you're doing. And so when you call back in a couple weeks, and you can say, hey, listen, we have this amazing opportunity that we're rolling out something pretty cool. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you, since you're a good friend of mine, that we're going to all the states and Missouri is not open yet. And the first person I thought of when I thought of someone that would love the opportunity to be able to get all these stocks and, be part of this company that's up and coming, I thought of you. So I just want to know if you had any, potential. I know you're happy where you're at, but, would you be open to learning more about this opportunity? And that's it.
You make it sound easy.
You have a good segue right now because we need a connection in Branson right now. So that's doing this now rather than putting it off is if we can get them connected with an actual buyer right now, that's a good way to open the conversation.
That's a fantastic way to open the conversation.
I thought so too. So I even tried to call one of the people I was thinking about the other day. His name's Cole Courier, just because of a possible referral. And so that's how I was going to start the conversation. And then, talk more about what he's doing and what I'm doing. And so
keep in mind, we need, for leadership, we need a good leader and we need 10 people to open the state.
Minimum. Yep.
Yeah, he's got, he's a good leader and he's got more than 10. Yeah,
awesome.
We like non-dramatic leaders.
Yeah, he has a little bit of an ego, but
don't we
that's
all?
Okay.
That's why I thought he would be a better one to even talk to about being able to open the state of Florida. I mean, of Missouri.
Yeah, talk to him.
Like ego thing. So.
Okay. All right, guys. Good luck.
Thank you. You sound better. You look better.
I know it's finally still, but yeah, I was a hot mess back then. Yep. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week.
All right.